not shut off. Okay, so we're going to grab some tongs, and these are tongs. And I'm going to dip this whole thing in the bright blue. Oh, I didn't even cover that. Let's cover that real quick. Blue-green looks like this. Okay. Bright blue. I don't know. It looks like this, but I think it's also this. I think this went on thick. Okay, so what I'm going to do with my mug today, I'm going to do a regular dip. Then I'm going to dip the other half up on the rim again to see what's going on. Same firing. I just pulled them out this morning. But I know they're both bright blue. At least I think they are. Tenmoku is this right here. It goes on red, but when it fires a dark, almost black, brown, slightly red. Where it's thin, it's a little bit brown, a little bit red, sometimes with a little hint of like a yellow. Where it's thick and hot, it's almost a black. It changes just depending on where it's at in the kiln, how thick your piece is, and how thick the glaze is. But it's a pretty consistent glaze. It's also opaque. Unless you have on some decent textures, like it would look good on that mug because you'd be able to see it. But there's not going to be a lot of breaking. It doesn't have a lot of breaking. Remember what breaking is? Where it pools, it goes darker usually. Some glazes where it pools, it goes a different color, which is kind of cool. Okay, I don't have a lapis blue example, but it's kind of a purple, and it's also not shiny. It's matte. It's an opaque matte glaze, so it's not see-through, and it's not shiny. And it's almost gone, so it'll probably won't be there next week. What else do we need to see? Bright blue. We saw them all. Okay. I do want to talk real quick about, again, glaze makeup and so you remember this copper red? So what I call blue-green, when I order it, I actually order it as copper red. It's called copper red. There's a big bag of it right over there. And when this glaze fires in a gas kiln, we fire in an electric kiln, it comes out like this. When it fires in a gas kiln, it comes out like this. Okay, just a kind of little side note. An electric kiln or oxidation comes out like this. They've just manufactured the copper red to come out copper red in an electric kiln, which is kind of cool of them. But if I were to take this, I don't even know anyone who has a gas kiln. UAU does. And I put them in there and they fired this, it would come out and there would be red colors on there, which is kind of cool. Okay, let's get back to this. So I'm ready to glaze it. And this has been sitting. So I'm going to mix it again. Plus, I don't trust me. Not the time to be timid. Okay, be confident. It's not that hard. Now, but do remember, glazes stain, especially reds. Okay, I'm going to use my tongs, and I'm going to hold here, way down. If I hold here, and then I dip it in and fill that up with glaze, and this is thin at all, it's probably going to break through. So I'm going to hold all the way down here. Try not to let it touch my rim, but if it does, we'll fix that. And then I'm going to dip this. How many seconds?
3.
Less than 3. Okay? I'm going to dip it in, shake it, pull it back out. And pull it back out. Okay, one dip. And all these glazes haven't been used in a while, and they are just a little bit thick. I can tell it's thick, it looks thick, but it should be dry by now, if it was a regular thickness of glaze. Now again, the top glazes are very stable glazes, which means if it's a little bit thick and you don't know the difference, and you put it on a little bit thick, you're gonna be okay. I picked glazes specifically for that reason. Now, I'm gonna set this down and let that dry. And rinse that off. One thing you don't want to do is touch wet glaze. Yeah, no, don't want to touch that yet. Okay, that's good. If I touch wet glaze, yeah, that's dry. It makes marks. It makes it all chunky. So if there's an inconsistency on your piece, wait for it to dry, and then we'll work through it. Now, see my little tongue marks? A couple of ways to work with those. You can just buff them out like this. A lot of times I just come over here, I just get my bucket, I mix it up, it was just mixed up, and I just hit that just like so. It's going to melt, and it'll be just fine. Okay. If you don't know, come ask. And then the last thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to take a sponge, and anything that touches the bottom has to be wiped off. And I use just a sponge with some water. And I've seen lots of people do this lots of ways where they're scraping it off with their metal ribs and stuff. This is faster. On this, I'm holding it and flipping it. Do not take this and set this on the table with the rim. Okay? If you feel like you have to, grab one of these little pads. They're just right here underneath. There's a whole bunch of different sizes. And you'll just set it on there, and you'll put it down like that. That way when you press on it, it has a little bit of give. If you put it on the table, you're going to scratch the rim right off. Okay? So it would look like this. Okay? And now you have a scratched off rim, and now you're in trouble. Really in trouble. No, you're not. So we're just going to fix that. So I'm just going to come here, hit that, and my options are many. I can stir that and just barely dip my rim in to the bright blue, which is what I'm going to do. I could dip it into another color, or I could paint on another color. So I'm going to dip this. I'm going to dip it down a little bit because remember I'm going to test to see those colors. Okay. And then I'm going to put it over here. And when you put your glazed marks away, you just say to them, hey, I'll see you when you're beautiful. I mean, you don't have to say it out loud, but you should say it. Correct? Oh, yeah. Okay. Anything on that list you want me to go over real quick? Free coat. Less than 3 seconds. We'll wait. Oh, you're going to need to put some more water in that. It was overly thick last time I glazed. Last class period. Probably like 8 ounces.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Can you like put some glaze that glaze together?
I don't recommend it right now. The answer is yes. In a controlled setting, let's try not to get too crazy right now. When we get to our bowls, bottles, and vases, we can expand just a little bit. Tenmoku with blue-green over it is a really great combination. But if you dip the whole thing in Tenmoku and the whole thing in blue-green, it's going to run. And if we're not controlling that, you went through all this hard work to make something that's now dead, right? So we want you to take something home. And so that's why I'm saying find a glaze, pick a glaze, use the glaze. If you want to get a little bit more experimental with the paint-on glazes, it's a little bit easier because you have full control on where that goes. Okay. Anything else? Nope. Okay, let's head to the back. We have 30 minutes to do some stuff. Yeah, let's head to the back. Okay. Let's see how this works. All right, so I hope you have your papers for more notes. Clean this off real quick. So requirements for